Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak about the SASsix campaign. Um, I'm a member of the Association of Anaesthetists SAS committee, as well as a few other roles inside and outside of my trust, but I'm giving this talk on behalf of the SAS collective. Before we dive into the SASsix, let me give you a bit of background about why we, the SAS collective, came together and why this campaign is so important to us. So we were a group of relatively experienced SAS doctors, each of us having some form of regional or national role. And we found each other on social media using this, expressing the same frustrations about our own SAS careers and the SAS careers of our colleagues. This is not to discount the great work that has been done by many good organisations over the years to raise the profile of SAS doctors and the efforts that have been made to improve our careers, and those efforts obviously continue to this present day. For example, the SAS Charter is a fantastic piece of work and was published 10 years ago now. NHS trusts up and down the UK adopted the SAS Charters, but in reality, ask most SAS doctors whether they've been fully implemented, and I think you will get a very mixed response. Indeed, for many SAS, the full aspirations of the Charter really haven't filtered through. The same can be said about the plethora of publications from the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges. They have consistently produced some very high quality papers on SAS education, SAS wellbeing, autonomous practice for SAS, obviously SAS development and leadership, and many, many others. And they're all of very good quality. Yet the lived reality of SAS doctors, in large parts, has been all too slow to change despite these good words. So we came together not only to share our frustrations, but to try and make a different and a more positive approach. Myself and these lovely people that you see on the slides are the core individuals involved with this SAS collective at the minute. You can see that we have four-nation involvement because the issues that are faced by SAS in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales are no different to the issues that we face in England. We're all jobbing SAS doctors, and there are many more that are now involved with the collective than just this core group. As individuals, we are not important, and we are not seeking credit for anyone else's work or even for our own work, but we do want to be transparent about who we are. So we got in contact with some very senior individuals who are involved with healthcare transformational change on the international level. And they pointed out that some of the most meaningful change in the NHS has come about through grassroots social movements. So, i.e., not replacing the top-down approach, but complementing it with a movement from SAS doctors themselves. And this led us to think about things that could most improve the working lives of SAS doctors, and the SASsix was born. Each of these individual asks are already being implemented in numerous trusts across the UK, but no single trust is achieving all of them simultaneously. Again, I want to make it clear that none of these are new asks or new ideas. They've all been proposed and promoted before we even developed the SASsix. But together they are specific, measurable, and achievable goals that trusts could implement, and if they do, they will radically improve SAS careers. Our first ask is simple. Every early career SAS doctor should have access to an educational supervisor. There is a myth that all SAS doctors are senior, and this is simply not true. The entry criteria for a specialty doctor post is just 4 postgraduate years and 2 years in specialty. I.e., you can become a SAS doctor if you wanted to right after CT2. Many early career SAS are working without support or mentorship that their colleagues in training receive, and that inevitably leaves them directionless when it comes to career progression and their development. Speaking of development, professional development is crucial for all doctors, including SAS. And our next ask is that all SAS doctors should have equity of access to professional development. And this is often not the case in our trusts. For example, in many organizations, SAS doctors receive less core SPA than their consultant colleagues, even though they might be doing equivalent clinical and non-clinical work. Now, there's no intrinsic difference between the appraisal and revalidation requirements of a SAS doctor and of a consultant. The professional development of a SAS doctor really is no less worthwhile than that of a consultant or any other medical grade in the NHS. Many senior SAS doctors have the skills and experience needed to mentor and train others, but they're not offered opportunities to become educators. So they're not offered the roles of educational supervisor or clinical supervisor, and they're definitely not offered the more senior roles of college tutors or directors of medical education. There's no intrinsic reason why entry to the specialist register automatically makes you a good educator. There isn't an abundance of motivated, good quality medical educators in our trusts. So why would we deny interested and qualified SAS from developing and taking up these roles? Similarly, the qualities of a good leader have almost nothing to do with completing specialist training. Many medical managers have no formal leadership qualifications or training. SAS doctors deserve the opportunity to apply for any leadership or management role. These applications should be considered on their merit and not on their grade. The final two asks are contractual. Firstly, that regular employed doctors employed for more than 2 years should be offered the appropriate SAS contract for the work. In the past decade, there has been a massive expansion of the use of locally employed posts, which might be right for some early career doctors who are popping in and out for training, but it's not okay for any doctor to remain trapped in these contracts over the long term. Locally employed doctors do not have national protections. Their pensionable pay is their total pay might be very similar, but their pensionable pay is much lower, and they don't have access to the same types of SPA or development opportunities that SAS doctors do. And our final ask is that specialty doctors who meet the generic framework capabilities of a specialist should be offered that opportunity. So between 2008 and 2021, there was no way for SAS doctors to progress their careers as SAS. Not everybody wants to do Caesar or portfolio. There are now hundreds, if not thousands, of frustrated senior specialty doctors who are working autonomously, contributing to education, research, quality improvement, and many more extended roles. But trusts haven't seen the need to create these specialist posts as yet. So the SASsix are not standalone apps. They form a cohesive, integrated framework that supports career progression and professional development for SAS doctors at every stage. For example, if we have more LEDs on SAS contracts, then we will have more early career SAS. And if we have more early career SAS that have educational supervision, then we're more likely to get professional development. They're more likely to take up professional development opportunities. And if they develop, they will have more opportunities to be educators and potentially be able to be educational supervisors to trainees or to early career SAS. And obviously, if more SAS are educators and leaders and are taking full advantage of professional development opportunities, they're more likely to fit the criteria to become specialists. So while there are barriers to implementing the SASsix, each one has a practical solution. But the biggest barrier to change is the culture where SAS are just seen as bodies to fill rota gaps. So the SAS Collective has already begun breaking down some of those barriers. From last autumn until May, we conducted 7 tweet chats, each with panels composed of medical directors, heads of workforce, and other NHS leaders that wouldn't normally be interested in SAS doctors and the nature of their careers. And we've had some really rich conversations about the greater impact of valuing SAS careers and and how that could affect change within their organizations. And you can see that with each tweet chat, we really did get some very significant engagement. We now have support for the SASsix campaign from lots of national organisations, including the HCSA, the MPS, the Royal College of Physicians, the association itself, the Medical Women's Federation, the Royal College of Anaesthetists, and Medical Education Leaders UK. And crucially, we now have trusts that have publicly pledged to implement the SASsix, including Northumbria Healthcare, NHS Trust last month, and last week, Barking and Redbridge NHS Trust. We have several more trusts um, lined up and ready to make the same pledge. In my own trust, the SASsix was taken on at trust board level as an EDI priority by our medical director, and we will be going public about this in SAS Week next month. Crucially, we're giving trust the tools to make good on the high aspirations that we have talked about for years. Moreover, we are empowering grassroots SAS doctors to hold them to account on this. So let's close by just thinking once more about the potential impact that widespread adoption of the SASsix might have. Not only would organizations be doing the morally and ethically right thing by supporting and developing their most diverse um, doctors, but they would be investing. But investing in SAS will stabilize the workforce. It will shift organizational culture towards a more inclusive and supportive environment. And of course, most importantly, it will enhance care for patients. We are in a workforce and a productivity crisis in the NHS. So this is our call to action. I personally don't want to live in a world where in 10 years' time we're still talking about SAS doctors struggling to get specialist posts, or the number of doctors trapped in locally employed posts which are exploitative represent the majority of doctors on the GMC register. That's not a future I want to see. So see what you can do is see where your trust is with regard to the SASsix. Engage with your SAS leaders, whether they're your tutors or your advocates or your LNC reps. Make SAS allies, i.e., influential people within your organizations who are sympathetic to SAS. Promote the SASsix, and please do share your successes with us. Thank you.